Hello and welcome to this special segment of the Loose Screws podcast. Today we have joining us guest of the show, Commander Souverine of Sagittarius Eye fame, of Parallel Worlds fame, of Lave Radio fame, and now he's here to tell us about a new and exciting project. Souverine, take it away.
Hey, thanks very much for having me. So the new project is called Cosmonaut. It is a brand new free online magazine that a small team of us have been working on for a few months, and we've just released. It started as a bit of a thought experiment between me and the lead designer at Sagittarius Eye. Basically, we sort of had our eye on Star Citizen for a while and wanted to create a magazine for it. This year, Star Citizen has introduced persistence between progress persistence between updates. So until this year, every single point update, so every quarter, your progress would be wiped, which meant that it sort of limited how much of a game it would feel like, really. But now your progress is your character's progress is persistent between point updates, which has really been a bit of a turning point for that game, I think. So we decided, after talking about it, that the time was right to create something cool for that game. So we've been working on Cosmonaut for I think probably 4 or 5 months. And issue 1 came out on the 12th of April, which is the anniversary of Yuri Gagarin's first trip into space.
That's awesome. That's very, very cool. So, as I understand it, with your first sort of release of this, you were actually singled out by CIG for some special attention. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, that was brilliant, actually. Star Citizen on their main website, they have a weekly sort of newsletter where they as part of it they focus on a bit of community created content, and the stuff that the Star Citizen community makes is amazing. It's so impressive. Their videographers are incredible. Their photographers are outstanding. There's so much really, really brilliant stuff, and obviously that game has a pretty huge player base. But I think mainly because it was something very different that they hadn't seen before. They actually picked Cosmonaut's first issue as their most valuable post for this week. So yeah, they tweeted out a link to issue 1 and highlighted it in their weekly newsletter, which goes out to all their subscribers, and gave it a really, really nice plug, sort of saying, this is brand new magazine covering this and this and this, and they really got behind it, which is lovely, actually, and it's really nice to see.
That's super awesome. Now, I know that there already is a magazine for Star Citizen, but that magazine has it has sort of two drop. And I'm not trying to speak ill of it. I'm sure it's awesome in its own way, but there's 2 issues that I have with it where I feel like Cosmonaut would be sort of a superior product for me. The first is that to get that magazine issue now, you have to sort of pay your subscription up front for Star Citizen or whatever. You have to pay some amount and you get that along with some sort of flair, like you get a helmet or a laser gun or something every month. But the other issue, which is sort of more important to me, is as a longtime fan of Sagittarius Eye magazine, I love that magazine in the Elite Dangerous universe is in universe the whole time. It's written from the perspective of it lets you be a person living in that universe, and it's not sort of out of character where they're talking about sort of issues of the test server is live on whatever. It's no, it's just in the lore. And as I understand it, that's sort of the goal for Cosmonaut, is to sort of mirror exactly how Sagittarius Eye brings sort of the world of Elite Dangerous to life. It's to do the same thing with Star Citizen.
Yeah, completely. So there's we don't really want to try and do anything that other people are already doing better. And Star Citizen has a monthly, I think it's a monthly magazine called Jump Point, which is just for their subscribers. So yeah, that is paywalled because you've got to be a subscriber to get it, and the subscribers for Star Citizen pay, I think it's something like £9 and £12 per month or something like that. Also, Jump Point is completely out of universe. It has interviews with devs. It covers development news, that kind of thing. So it's quite a different product, really. And Cosmonaut is, as you say, it's totally in universe. We like that because these game worlds have had a huge amount of work put into them. I was thinking today or yesterday actually about the amount of lore there is for Star Citizen, even though it's still in alpha. And I reckon that it's probably about 500,000 words of lore that's been written about that game and published so far. You know,
a lot.
I know, a huge amount of lore that's been published since it's been in development. And we thought it'd be fun to inhabit that, really. And I, you know, personally, I play these games for escapism. I want to live in these worlds and fully immerse myself in them. And having a magazine that's totally within those universes is, I just think, really lovely, and something that wasn't being done, and something that that community deserves. So yeah, completely free, totally in universe. No mention of hot asses or PTUs or players and developers and that kind of thing. It's all by pilots, for pilots, and about pilots.
And I mean, that's awesome that CIG is doing their own magazine that has that, because that's awesome stuff to have. But for those people that, for them, the whole point is like just to immerse yourself in the world. If you are someone, and as I understand it, the Star Citizen player base is sort of very sort of rabidly, like, and understandably so, like very, very invested in this. It's super awesome to have, you know, I'm looking through an episode right now, or an issue of right now, the first issue, and this whole thing with the idea of the race for the Imperator, where there's going to be, you know, you're going to have like an emperor type situation for like years, and they're having their election, and it's like different groups within the universe are sort of vying for that to take the lead. You know, it's just it's super, super in depth. When you talk about the amount of pages of lore that you were talking about there, man, it's like there's a world here as rich as Game of Thrones, and it's for the people that play this, that want to live this. I feel like this is going to be an invaluable service, this magazine, and it is gorgeous. The one thing I've always said about Star Citizen is, like, you can knock all kinds of things about, you know, you feel this or you feel that. You cannot knock how everything looks in this game. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
It is stunning. It is absolutely. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, it's totally stunning. It's an absolutely breathtakingly beautiful game, and the fact that it takes place as much on planets as it does in space means that there's a lot more scope for different visuals. It's been an interesting
comparisons too.
Exactly. It's been a super interesting exercise, actually, doing something like this alongside Sagittarius Eye, because Sag-Eye is obviously pretty much all in space, and whereas Star Citizen, a lot of the action takes place on planets. A lot of gameplay takes place on planets, so it's not just a space magazine. We're doing a slightly different format. We're doing because of the possibilities for art. We're doing a landscape format rather than a portrait format, which means that, one, we can be more creative with the images we use, and two, it's slightly easier to read on desktop computers. We wouldn't change Sagittarius Eye. We like it the way it is, but one of the consistent bits of feedback we've had over the years is that it's not super easy to read in a lot of formats. So we thought a bit about that, and we're doing Cosmonaut as a landscape format rather than portrait.
It fits really well. I mean, it's still the same. Looking at this, you're still looking at the same high quality in writing and thoughtfulness of the universe, but it really fits the art style of this particular game. There's so many gorgeous vistas in Star Citizen that Yeah, man. This is, I got to tell you, okay, and I'm going to be completely honest. Star Citizen, I'm a fan of it in concept. I think it's super, super awesome. I think everything, the stuff I see is so, so beautiful, but I just haven't yet sort of pulled that trigger into jumping into it because I've been so satisfied with Elite, and there's just, as a sort of newer player to Elite, has been so much for me to do. But looking over this artwork, I am definitely feeling a draw. I want to drive one of these awesome looking Jeeps. And I'm looking here at this one shot of a seat, a commander seat. And I tweeted a picture like a week ago of Alex, the pilot of the Rocinante, and he's dual wielding X-52 Pros. And you could like literally see it very crystal clear. And I took a picture and I tweeted it. And I'm looking at this picture right here of this one seat that is like sort of lean back, and it looks like sort of like X-52 Pro dual wield sticks. And I'm like, I think I might, I might want to give this a try. Like,
yeah, it's cool. I definitely think it's Star Citizen is an emotive topic, and it's a controversial project. Back in 2012, 2013, the aims, Star Citizen's aims and Elite Dangerous's aims, they sort of had the same end goal in mind. They both wanted to be fully fleshed out science fiction universes that you could live in. They both wanted to have sort of deeply immersive first person gameplay, freeform exploration on planets and in space, and really detailed simulationist approach to space flight and spacecraft. How they've diverged is really a function of the different attitudes taken to their development. Elite was very much get a minimal viable product out the door and then add to it and iterate. Star Citizen was very much let's build the whole thing together and then release it as and when it's ready. And there are, I think probably the fact that it's 6 years after its initial projected release date is evidence that that it hasn't been smooth sailing all the way in development. And I think definitely the scope has changed, which some very early backers might resent. Not everybody wanted the biggest MMO in history. Some people just wanted a space sim. And I think if you were a backer in 2013 and that was all you wanted, you could conceivably be annoyed that with the massive influx of backer funding that the scope has commensurately enlarged. And I think there definitely is CIG have made the choice to interpret that funding as a mandate to build the game they want rather than to stick to the initial scope. But so I completely understand that it's an emotive topic, and not everybody. It's not as an uncomplicated a recommendation as Elite for some people. Personally, I love both projects. I think they're both really exciting. I backed them at a similar time for similar reasons, and I hope and enjoy that they are both successful. I think one of the aims with Cosmonaut is that not because we sort of have any not for like shill reasons, but just because we like the project. We our aim in terms of quality is to make Cosmonaut something that inspires people to get Star Citizen. If people look at it and say, "Wow, God, that game looks amazing. I ought to look into it," and then that is the thing that drives them to it, that we'll be really thrilled about that. Like that will be for us. That'll be like, "Wow, okay, we did a really good job." Sorry, go on.
Well, I've said for a long time, I'm not a fan of the idea of like, Team Apple versus Team Android, Team PC versus Team Mac, like all that. It's really dumb. If you like space sims, right, and you love Elite Dangerous because it's an awesome space sim, I can definitely get behind the idea of saying, screw Star Citizen 3 or 4 years ago when sort of it wasn't yet together. But as it's starting to form up now with what you're talking about of like that they're having the persistence. So like if you earn money or whatever, like it goes forward, you can actually build progression within the game. It seems like, and from the art that I'm looking at here, it's starting to come together and be a real thing now. It wasn't years ago. Fair, fine. That's a fair criticism. But now it's starting to come together. And with the stuff that I'm seeing here, it definitely, if you like Space Sims, I don't understand why you wouldn't at least consider plunking down, especially right now where you're like, okay, well, I'm kind of just treading water until the new era comes. It's like, well, plunk down a few bucks and play around with this and see if it tickles your fancy.
Yeah, completely. I don't. I think it's completely normal for people to have favorites, and I think that Star Citizen does stuff that Elite does. I think Star Citizen does a few things better than Elite, and I think Elite does a few things better than Star Citizen. And I think they could definitely learn things from each other. But somebody who tells me that they hate one and love the other, that would baffle me. You know, if life was an orchestra, they'd be playing the same instrument. You know, it's very difficult to be a passionate Space Sim fan and not have an interest in Star Citizen. I think
it's kind of like saying, "Oh, I love pumpkin pie, but I can't stand sweet potato pie." I'm looking at them going, they're very close to each other.
Yeah, exactly. But the different approaches, I think are really refreshing and interesting. And there are things, you know, we've sort of, having played Elite for 6 years, you sort of, there's a few universal truths that we've come to take as gospel. You know, one of which being, oh, you know, how they're going to do first person. It's so complex. Playing Star Citizen is the most eloquent response to anybody who ever says that Elite shouldn't have first person walking around. Like, play Star Citizen, float around in 0G at Grimhex, get out of your pilot seat, do a bit of EVA, and then tell me that Elite shouldn't have space legs. Like, honestly, that game is the most eloquent argument for space legs in Elite Dangerous, and to keep the faith for the vision that David Braben told us that he was building back in 2012, 2013. Go on.
No. I'm sorry. Finish your thought, because that was interesting.
I think with regard to what you said about it sort of coming together, this is quite a subjective thing. And I think for me, in terms of what I want, I definitely feel like Star Citizen is a game as opposed to as a tech demo now. I remember logging in a couple of years ago and bumming around Hurston and being amazed at how buggy it was. And I just thought, oh, it's an alpha. Oh, well, go back to Elite. That's cool. And it's in the last 6 or 9 months, really, that's changed for me. There's progress between updates, so progress that I make today, I can reasonably assume that it'll be there in 6 months' time. It's not just that; it's stability as well. And this is something that varies for different people, and this is why I said it was a subjective matter. But for me, the game is pretty stable. I actually find, I remember logging in 8 months ago or so, and I actually found Star Citizen less buggy than Elite at that time, which is amazing. And I don't expect anybody else to have exactly the same experience, because I know that it does depend on a lot of things. And I think Star Citizen is a game that rewards having an SSD particularly. But for me, there are a few things that there are enough game loops in it now that you can have fun. There are plenty of missions across a wide range of disciplines. There's only sort of one variant of each, because that's what they're doing in the alpha. They're getting stuff feature complete rather than building out breadth. But that's fine. You get persistence. You get a character creator. There's quite a few ships there. It definitely, I think. A lot of the negative criticism. One thing I try and keep a fairly impartial head when it comes to looking at these games, because it's quite easy to get caught up in tribalism. But one thing I do really think about a lot of the negative criticism that Star Citizen gets is a lot of it comes from people who just haven't played it. There was, I think, one of the most famous hit pieces on it was the piece in Forbes magazine in May last year. And it was a really good article. It was quite thoroughly researched. It was a little bit vicious, like it went into Chris Roberts' private life in a way that it didn't really need to. But the main takeaway that I got from it was that the person who wrote the article clearly hadn't played the game. They'd done all this research. They'd gone and interviewed people at CitizenCon. They'd looked into all the financials. They'd gone through all the data. They hadn't booted the game up and played around in it. Hadn't flown a spaceship. You know, and for me that you know, absolutely, you can't have an opinion on this stuff. You cannot have an opinion on this stuff until you've played it. And
you can be an awesome engineer and a great writer, and you can interview people at the track, and you can interview the people at the manufacturer, and you can interview other owners. But if you've never driven a Ferrari, and you're doing a whole piece on how Ferraris are overpriced or Ferraris are awesome, or pick whatever point you want to make, if you've never driven one, you're just full of shit.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. So I think in terms of going back to Cosmonaut, this should be viewed as this is something that we wanted to do for a while. Just to reiterate, just to clarify, this is not a Sagittarius Eye presents thing. The crew who have made Cosmonaut are mostly Sagittarius Eye members, but it's a much smaller team than Sag Eye, and it's not it's not the same team. It's a small number of people on Sag Eye who are doing this separately. So it's a sister publication rather than made by exactly the same team. But
I don't want to give off the wrong. I don't want to give off the wrong impression. I'm just saying that for those people who already know and love, because like let's face it, most of our audience already know and love Sagittarius Eye magazine. For those people who might be players of Star Citizen already or might be interested in playing Star Citizen and looking at it, I just want those people to know that you're going to get it's with the same sort of theme, the same sort of process.
Yeah, exactly.
And but it's going to be obviously consisting of writers that are just the way the Sag Eye writers are immersed in the Elite Dangerous world. It's going to be that exact theme, but with writers that are immersed in the Star Citizen world.
Completely. It's slightly the team is smaller. With Sag Eye, we've always thought, we've always said like, hey, come and join us if you're interested in writing. We'll find a way to fit you in. With Cosmonaut, the approach has been slightly different. We've because the larger teams, but past a certain level, they actually compound complexity and confusion rather than making things easier. And we've actually taken the decision to keep the team quite small for Cosmonaut to make it as efficient as possible. So we've been quite selective with the writers that we've got, and they're not all Sag Eye writers. We've actually tapped up quite a few decent writers from the Star Citizen universe who only play that game, and they've been great to work with. And but in terms of quality, absolutely, we are going for, if anything, our standards are even slightly higher for Cosmonaut, just because when we started Sag Eye, we'd never done anything like that, and we didn't know what we were doing. Whereas now we've done, this isn't our first rodeo. We know exactly what we're doing. We've made all the mistakes. We've learned from them, and we've got learnings that we can apply to this. So we are hitting the ground running, so to speak, and we've gone for extremely high production values, and we basically, we want it to be as high a quality as we can possibly manage, and because that's what we think Star Citizen deserves. And the one thing I would just finish on, just because it was a comment that you made earlier, this should definitely be thought of as in terms of like people being on the fence about Star Citizen, it's definitely something that you should make your own mind up on. And just because one person has a good experience doesn't mean that everybody will. But it should definitely be viewed as a vote of confidence in that game. We wouldn't have done this if we didn't think that Star Citizen was a great project. We wouldn't have done it if we didn't think that game was going to be released. We wouldn't have done it if we didn't think that it's worth your time if you play Space Sims. So yes, it should be definitely thought of as a vote of confidence in the project.
Well, for me, I think I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, like CIG should be throwing you some money, because what this is to me is like sales propaganda for the game, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, I want to go to there. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You've got a lot to live up to. The very first thing here, you've got an editorial, then you go into a political piece with the whole race to who's going to be the emperor. Then you have a different race. You have this awesome planet-side rally race with all these different vehicles, and they talk about how they do that. You've got sort of a ship review of the Carrack. Then you've got a guide to like how to make money in Stanton Station or whatever in the game. And then you've got sort of another thing here on sort of a more, it's almost also like a review, but kind of more of a like, oh man, it's just this luxury yacht.
Oh yeah, the
spaceship
of
thing here.
Yeah, the 890 jump. We reviewed two ships in issue 1. The Carrack, which is probably the most exciting ship that's been released so far, which is a sort of an exploration themed large ship, and the 890 jump, which is basically it's Star Citizen's super yacht. They're completely different ships, and it was really, really fun actually taking the shots and doing the research and writing those up. So yeah,
Nice.
issue one, we have a roundup of the 10 people in the running for this year's election for Imperator, which is the top human political job in Star Citizen's universe. We had a write up of the Daymar rally, which is it's one of my favorite Star Citizen community run initiatives. Actually, it's an annual rally that takes place on the moon of Daymar across 3 different disciplines. So it's hover bikes, buggies, and I can't remember what the other one is. It might be ships. It's an absolute free for all and totally brilliant, and one of the best illustrations of why Star Citizen is a cool project. And then we also have a guide to the different ways of making money in the verse at the moment, which is sort of like a guide for players, I guess. And for issue 2, which we're very far along with production on, we've got a guide to the star system of Pyro, which we'll get access to very soon. We've got another ship review. We've got I won't spoil it, but we've got a load of really good stuff. We're actually we work on quite long production cycles, and we're actually planning issue 4 already. So yeah, it's going well.
I'm just drooling with lust looking at this shot of like this luxury spaceship has like a sauna and an indoor pool. Like you're flying through space, looking out like through a window at the galaxy or whatever, while you're just doing laps in your pool. Like this is crazy. It
is amazing. It is that ship in particular is ridiculous. It's the size of an Anaconda, and inside it's like a luxury penthouse. It's amazing. The Star Citizen has artificial gravity, which Elite doesn't. Which means that you can have things like swimming pools in spaceships. And it's actually really strange because you'll be in EVA floating around in 3 dimensions. And then you'll hit a land, and then you'll boost yourself onto a landing pad, and suddenly there's gravity, and suddenly your avatar's on walking around on a plane again. It's very strange. It's really, I feel like the fundaments, the nuts and bolts of what controlling an avatar in a 3D space environment, like just the played experience, the player experience of that game, they've absolutely nailed. You know, the way the HUD works, the way the avatar moves, the way your guns work, the transition between flying the ship and walking around, EVA, all that stuff. It really is a revelation. It's very cool. Commander Edelweiss and I did a bit of tooling around Grim Hex the other day, which is it's an asteroid base in Star Citizen, which is like a criminal hotspot, and half of it is blown out, which means that half of it there's an atmosphere and the gravity generators are working. And when you're walking around that, it's you're not floating around, you're grounded. But there are areas of the station which are blown out and the gravity generators have stopped working. And as soon as you go through those doors, you start floating. And you're surrounded by objects and crates and stuff, and they're just floating, and you can nudge them and send them spinning. And it's just the first time that happened. I don't know if you've experienced this. You probably have a few times. But sometimes when playing a game, there's just this like wide grinning moment of just fuck, this is so cool. And it was just one of those. Like I went through this airlock and suddenly started floating and saw all these crates bouncing off me and stuff. And I was just like, oh man, this is awesome. And it has a lot of moments like that.
You mean they figured out and designed how the crates work? They didn't just tell you later on that it's probably Velcroed down?
Exactly. Precisely. Yes. I'm glad you picked up on that. I'm disproportionately annoyed about that.
I'm looking, I can't stop looking at this 890 jump. And so my personal, because I'll be honest with you, I've decided looking through this, I am buying Star Citizen. And I am going to definitely be a every month reader of Cosmonaut magazine. But I'm looking at this 890 jump and I'm thinking like, for sure, I know like this has got to be one of those like really expensive real life money ships. Yeah. I'm going to be buying a cheap one, but eventually I'm going to find some Mormons to rob and I'm going to be doing laps in that pool going, Beltalora done good. I'm getting one of those ships. I got to figure out how exactly you rob more mints in this game.
Yeah, I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah.
The one thing I'd say is if you do want to buy it, there are recommendation codes. We should actually think about putting one in Cosmonaut. But if you buy it on a recommendation code from somebody else, you get free in-game money. I think you get like a little bonus. But also the game at the moment is absolutely pay to win. You can earn money in the game, but earning enough money to upgrade your ship is a phenomenal time investment. And really, what most people have done is paid quite a lot of money for a really great spaceship to fly around. Sadly, that is the most efficient model that Star Citizen have decided for raising money. But it does mean that the game is most definitely pay to win during this alpha period. They've reassured us that it won't be the case after release, and it will be a lot like Elite in terms of, everything will be earnable through play rather than being able to buy it from the store.
So basically, we'll all be at Baran so that we can get our 890 jump.
Yes, exactly. But for the time being, it's quite easy to be tempted to try and buy a lovely big spaceship for hundreds of dollars. Don't do that. Just buy the starter pack. Star Citizen CIG have already had £250 million to make this game. They have all the money they need. I really don't recommend that people spend more on it than just the starter pack. I bought a starter pack for it back in, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and for £35 that gave me access to Squadron 42 and Star Citizen, and I haven't spent a penny more, and I'm super glad I did, and it's brilliant. And I wouldn't be adverse to further down the line for cosmetics and stuff, but I definitely, you hear stories about people who buy loads of spaceships because they think it's going to be released next year, and then 3 years later they're miserable. Don't be that guy. Just don't. But, they don't spend more than you feel comfortable with. The starter packages are absolutely fine. You'll still have a complete blast. But if you're into space sims, it'd be silly not to pick up a starter package, I reckon.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait. I'm not going to buy this until May, because in May issue 2, you're going to have one of those codes in there for everybody, right? And then I'm going to get it. I'm going to get on that Cosmonaut code bandwagon at that point, and then we'll go from there. So we're going to put a link, but obviously tell everyone where they can find this.
Go to www.cosmonautmagazine.com. If you could put it in the show notes, Kai, that would be absolutely wonderful.
I absolutely will.
Brilliant. It's completely free to download. You can download a desktop version or a mobile version, or both if you want. There is if you
let me ask you real quick. I'm sorry, let me interrupt you. This is awesome, and I love this sort of format of scrolling down, and it looks really, really, really awesome. But these graphics are just too good. I have to have a magazine like that I can hold, a glossy magazine. How do I get that? Is that possible?
Yeah, so this is something that that's new for this one as well. We haven't done this with Sagittarius Eye, but we've actually we are printing a small number of copies every month. And small batch printing is crazy expensive, as anybody in the industry will be able to attest. But we are printing a few of them, and we've actually offered. We're offering them to patrons. So we've set up a Patreon page, and if you pledge at the right level, we will send you one of our printed copies every month. So you can not only read on the website, but you can actually have a glossy, high quality copy to read at home as well. The quality we've gone for. We can get those
in America?
Yeah, anywhere in the world. Anywhere we'll post. Beautiful. Yeah, we'll post them worldwide. Our printing service is in the UK, but we will post them worldwide. The quality is. I got the prints back for issue 1, and they are beautiful. It's because it's landscape. It's like a coffee table magazine, I guess. But it's they are. We've quite a few of our team are professionals who work in the industry, and we've gone for a really, really high quality, shelf quality standard. So the prints that you will receive, if you do want to go down that route, are absolutely easily as good as you'll be able to buy from a shop. So yeah, they are lovely. They're really, as having handled them, I can definitely say they are best enjoyed in print. It's lovely to see them on the screen, but holding them in your hands is something else.
Beautiful. Well, I look forward to seeing issue 2, and I look forward to enjoying the only in-universe magazine for what I'm looking at here is gonna be a new distraction for me. So, yeah. I mean, hey, look, here's the thing. I've got billions already. I'm all set. I'm definitely ready to test out, fleet carriers in the May beta. Yeah, I said it right that time. Okay. And I'm definitely excited for what's coming in December, but I've got some months to kill. And this seems like it could be a new fun thing to try. I want to do this rally race. I'm looking at this Daymar rally and I'm like, all right, where's Alec Turner and Tara Disick and Sanderling and Shea, and let's get the group going.
Yeah, they'd love that.
And let's see these buckyball racers just tear up this moon of Daymar with this landscape here. It looks like on the speeder bikes, it looks like, okay, that's easy. In the buggies, that's a lot of rocks, man.
Yeah, they also allow shooting on that race, so it's an absolute bonfire.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's death race. That's great.
Basically, yeah, it's very cool. Very cool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We will put in the show notes. We're going to have a link to the the main page for it and the Patreon link. And you definitely have to come back as this project continues to progress. And in May, we'll look to see those codes or whatever. And then if we get you back in, maybe June or July, I'll tell you of my horrific experiences of being a brand new noob.
Let's do it.
Stanton.
Sounds
right
good.
On.
Yeah. All right. I'll enjoy that. I'll hop back on in the summer and we'll find out how you got on.
Beautiful.
Thank you ever so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And it's great of you to let us talk about our project.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Hey guys, it is April 23rd, 2020, and this is Loose Screws. And what you guys just heard was a conversation between our very own Kai Zen and Lave Radio and
Sagittarius Eye Magazine, Parallel Worlds Magazine, Cosmonaut Magazine.
Oh, I'm getting there. So, Sagittarius Eye Magazine, and Parallel Worlds Magazine, and a brand new Cosmonaut Magazine. And because we are good buddies with the Lave Radio guys, we thought it'd be cool to showcase that a little bit at the beginning of our show this week. This is Loose Screws. I am your host, Ty Worsham. And with me, as usual, is my very accurate, awesome co-pilot, Kai Zen, man.
Thank you, man. Very accurate and awesome. I will take that.
Dude, we are at war.
Yes, we are.
At war.
Yes, we are. Gentlemen, there's no fighting in here. It's the war room.
This is war, or as in Warhammer, they say, "Wah!" But yeah, we are at war, and I could not be happier. We are at war with the Progressive Party and I'm about to forget the
Ross 310.
Ross 3. I'm trying to remember the name of the faction though. The Ross 310 United Ross 310 Progressive Party is the actual name. I don't believe that they are a player group. I think that they are just a generated group.
So they're sort of halfway in between. They are a NPC faction, but there is a group of players that have adopted it and sort of fly under their flag. We are about to crush them under our boot.
Yes. And it is important. Like, okay, I am not after global or galactic domination. I am only after the Ross 310 system in Mori Port. And also the destruction of the Empire. So,
and the 50 or so stations that are like a jump away from there. But other than that, we want no conquest.
I'm not trying to take over the whole world or the whole video game or anything like that. But I want it all.
Right on, man.
So, people who may not know, so what we're going to be doing on this is that there are now conflict zones. If you've never done the BGS war scenario, this is what conflict zones are for. Mm-hmm. And what you're going to do is you're going to fly into a conflict zone. And when you enter the conflict zone, you will then choose a side. You will choose Loose Screws Network because that's the cool side. Don't be an uncool side. Be the cool side. And after you choose Loose Screws Network, you choose that by going to the comms panel by hitting on the default key is number 2, and you select it. Choose Loose Screws Network, and then you're fighting for us. And all of the progressive people will turn red, and you can shoot them, and you shoot a lot of them. A couple things is that conflict zones, especially high intensity conflict zones, you're going to need a pretty tough ship to survive. They're fairly serious. So please don't die on Loose Screws account. But should you die, we will remember your name for forever.
We will remember you, all shiny and chrome. No, witness you.
Oh yes, witness me. Yes. Thank you. I was trying to think of that. Witness me. How could I forget that? I love that movie so much. That's one of the few perfect movies that I can think of. Like, it's really perfect. Like, there's no kind of continuity errors or anything like that. It's a perfect movie.
Well, you, my friend, are going to enjoy an upcoming episode of Parallel Worlds magazine for some reason that I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's a super secret.
Oh no, I actually have a little bit of inside information on that. So I can't wait. I cannot wait for that. So I am ridiculously happy about that. So come to Ross 310 and join the cool guys and shoot the bad guys. That is the Progressive Party. And if you're a progressive in real life, still come shoot progressives in this game. So that's all I got to say about that. Distant Screws. We are coming to the coming up on the conclusion of Distant Screws. Mm-hmm. I think Trax actually has it scheduled to end on April 28th, which is 5 days away from here.
Just to be clear, so nobody's upset or worried, while he is going to be ending on April 28th, and that will be the final live stream that will wrap up the event itself, sort of, as far as like, how do I say this? As far as like when he's ending it, right. The event itself is set to go until, I believe it's May 26th. So you still have plenty of time, because I've seen 2 messages from people either in game or in the Discord saying like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to finish in time. Like, you got lots of time. Don't worry,
right.
You're good.
Right. Yeah. I've had a couple of people ask me about it as well, and take your time. You still got the timer on the expedition is showing 50 days, 23 hours as of the time we're recording this, which is April 23rd. So
you got lots of time.
Yeah. I read that wrong. That's elapsed expedition time. The remaining time is 32 days. I can't read. Reading is hard, guys. I'm sorry. So, but I'm going to go over the numbers real quick. So we've made 52,891 jumps for a total of 3.9 million light years traveled. Mm-hmm. 283,380 celestial bodies scanned. 7,600. Reading is hard, guys. 7,676 celestial bodies mapped. We've used 237,000 tons of fuel. We've used 47,000 probes. 6 commanders have self-destructed, and still 25 commanders have died. So that's, I want to talk about that for just a minute. We've done something really cool here. This is the little community that could, and our community is, little small in terms of Elite Dangerous community size, but we are growing. And where this expedition was and where it is and where it's going is still pretty damn cool. I'm really proud of it. And I'm really, really proud of Trax to put it all together, because he did all of the legwork on it. And man, me and you, we were just kind of along for the ride. And man, I can't thank him enough. Trax does a lot of crap for our show.
He
And,
absolutely does.
You know, and I'm not trying to say that you don't, so please don't misunderstand.
No.
me.
I 100% agree with you. Trax has been a godsend and a blessing to us. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we say that enough. And since he's not here tonight, I thought we should say it behind his back. So
Makes sense. I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up, Ty.
Yeah.
Every week when you say like how far we've gone, I pull up the Wikipedia list of nearest galaxies. We are now, because you said we're at 3.9 million light years.
yes, sir.
That puts us, so the closest galaxies to Earth, so they list Milky Way, which is like we're in the Milky Way, so that doesn't count as far as I'm concerned. But 3.9 million light years takes you all the way to millions of light years from Earth. That takes you down the list to, I was going to list them because we were listing them at first, but we're down 106 galaxies away. 3.39 million light years is the Sagittarius Dwarf Irregular Galaxy, which is listed as SAG-DIG. Below, just closer than that, was the Andromeda 22. Before that was Aquarius Dwarf Galaxy, Andromeda 19, Wolf Lundmark Mellet. It's literally 106 different galaxies we could have traveled to. And there's a huge gap. It doesn't move again till UGC 4879, which is 4.18 million light years. So we should probably have that hit by next week.
Oh, geez. Okay. That's a cumulative light year amount, and I can't remember a light year is such a huge distance. Like we don't have the ability to go a light year yet. Like
correct.
Like I think Voyager, Voyager 1, which is our farthest probe out in space, I think that ship is actually, what is it like? It's not even 0.1 light year out, is it? I don't think it is.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy.
Yeah.
The distance that light travels in a year is not inconsiderate.
Right.
It's fairly large. Yeah.
Which kind of begs the question, like we have a light second. Why don't we have like a light hour, a light minute, a light week, a light month?
So yeah, they're actually that is a thing, but it's just they measure them in light seconds and then they go right to light years. But if you read on a lot of different sci-fi, like remember we were talking about the so I know in the what's the name of that guy, the series, the Dreadnought series, they have light weeks that they talk about, and I think Weber also talks about in his Honorverse series, he'll talk about light hours and light minutes.
Yeah, because I remember that. Like I remember them talking about on that third book when she's on the Nike. When if you guys have not read David Weber's Honorverse series, it's I think is about the best damn sci-fi series out there for what it is. It's absolutely amazing. It's just really good. The whole Manticore. I want a tree cat. Damn it.
Yeah, man, it's very, very good as well, especially since they have those they're like empathic and they can telepathically sort of communicate, not sort of complex words or sentence structures per se, but definitely clear like emotions or whatever. Like Honor's cat will like send her an image that she interprets as danger, and then like she knows something's about to happen, like somebody's about to attack or whatever. Yeah, it's a great series.
Yeah, the whole tree cat imprinting thing is amazing. Anyway, so it's such a good series. I love it, and I still want an Honorverse video game. So make that shit happen. One other bit of news, because I forgot to mention this because I'm an idiot, about the war is that we have a Xbox squadron leader that is NL Hate, and NL Hate has done a crap ton of work for our faction on the Xbox side of things.
MVP.
Yeah. Like, okay, I thought I had ran a lot of missions and had generated a lot of influence. I was wrong. NL Hate has generated a shit ton of influence. Now, I don't have a complete list of everybody who's generated influence for Loose Screws Network because not everybody reports in to Inara. For instance, Kai doesn't report into Inara. He doesn't even have an Inara account. But NL Hate's account does, and mine does, and several other players do, but not everybody's, of course.
This Mexican flies under the radar. You ain't tracking me.
Yeah, it's because you can't cross the border. But anyway, sorry about that.
Cross the border. I invade. I take the border.
Sorry about that. I'm on call tonight, so I have to have my phone on. Sorry about that, gentle. All right, everybody. Anyway, so I have done 67 points of influence over 25 missions, and Data has done 65 points of influence over 25 missions, and Roy Cookson has done 65 points of influence over 28 missions, and Chig has done 47 over 19 missions, and NL Hate has done 455 points of influence over 196 missions. Holy cow!
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had done a lot. I mean, it seemed like a lot. I was wrong. It seemed like a lot.
Mm-hmm. Hate was quoted as saying, "I don't like progressives."
Apparently, I would love to know what his kill count is going to be during this war. I bet it's going to be high. So, anyway, so, but yeah, that's Ross 310. That's Distant Screws, and so let's go over who is new to Discord real quick. Let's see here. We got Ball U Houston on the Xbox. We got Slizzy McSlizzface. We got Barbosa.
I love hearing you read these.
Shut up.
It's so great.
Mert. Make Blaine. Back to the Mud. Seraph from AXI. Savage Austin. Prince Fate 418. Rickson from the Wholeseals. Welcome, Rickson. And also welcome, Seraph. I missed both of you guys because of real life work, and that sucks. So, Farcastle 73. Ed Lave. 100.rub. Welcome, sir.
So 100 Point Rub is
Point Rub, yeah.
He is the leader of AXI.
Yeah, I knew that. I don't know if you know this, but I butcher the pronunciation, not on purpose. So.
Oh, it's I get it. No, it's but I just wanted to make sure. You know what? Ty, that name, 100 Point Rub, it's sounding familiar from somewhere. Where have I heard that this week?
I think maybe you talked to him. Was it last week you did that? Was that right? Or
was it this week? And you're going to hear it right after this show. You're going to hear our little talk about fleet carriers.
Yeah. Kai was actually able to have a really awesome, because, 100 Point Rub has been vocal and very much against fleet carriers, and it's a very great conversation between Kai and 100 Point as they discuss why 100 Point is wrong and why Kai is right as to why fleet carriers are awesome.
Well, okay. I want to make sure that
I went a little crazy there.
No, but even joking wise, I want to make sure that I clear the air officially, because 100 Point Rub was very, very good and gracious to come and share his time with me, and I definitely want to show him the respect for that. I would not say that he's against fleet carriers. I would say that he posted a forum post, which you could read for yourself, where he had a very sort of detailed list of his critiques about fleet carriers as a product and things that he does not like and things that he would like changed. I also posted,
and some of it is very valid. So don't misunderstand me. He has some very valid points in there. So,
yeah, I believe that a lot of his observations are very, very valid. I believe that there's sort of some wiggle room in how you approach some of those. I believe that there are definitely some timeline situations and whatever. And as we discussed, like a lot of the points and the criticisms he made, I agree with. I feel that my tone in how I approached the sort of overall project was a little different from his, but I feel like we found some good common ground. And I definitely 100% respect his opinions. And I think that's the thing we all have to all keep in mind right now, because things are getting a little crazy where people are going off book and making like sort of nasty direct attacks on people and getting really, I don't want to even address it directly because it's whatever, but people are getting real negative with stuff and personal and ugly. And we need to understand that A, we should all conduct ourselves as adults, and B, these are people that have a different opinion than you about a video game. Mm-hmm. Chill the fuck out. You don't need to slander anyone. You don't need to attack anyone. You don't need to be petty or whatever. If someone feels something different than you, they have every right to. Just the same way as no one can tell you that you don't have the right to feel what you feel. Just everybody get along and chill out a little bit. But 100 Point Rub was super, super awesome and gracious with his time. And I wanted to directly thank him and make sure that I state that, you know, he had a lot of very, very good observations, and a lot of it we found common ground on, and some of it we sort of agree to disagree, but like, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But he's an awesome dude, and I wanted to say that. Also, real quick, Ed Lave and Farcastle, I want to give a direct shout out to. They are from the Fleet Carrier Owners Discord, the new Discord that popped up that's supporting all things fleet carriers and fleet carrier owners. Those are some awesome guys.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let me finish this up real quick. So we also got Speedy Turtle on the PS4, and we got Ralph Varger. And yeah, so if you're on Xbox and you want to be part of the squadron, hit up NL Hate. And if you are on the PS4 and be part of the squadron, you can hit up Devo Looter, and we will go from there. And again, go fight in the war. Right. But man, it's pretty cool for 100 Point Rub. And you know, there's been a lot of salt, and you know, we did a whole anti-sodium thing. Our low sodium thing with when it comes to
our roundtable discussion.
Yeah, our roundtable discussion. And
last week,
there's been a lot of negativity surrounding fleet carriers, and we there are some genuine issues with fleet carriers that I feel like you, Bird, Down to Earth, Astronomy, Commander Plater, myself, Trax, people
Alex
in this
Turner,
Discord, Wotherspoon, Reenie. Yeah, I can't forget about Reenie. God, anybody else that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. There are some genuine issues that we've discussed, and man, I'll just tell you right now, I'm sick of the whining about them. Like, provide some constructive feedback. Stop being whiny about it. I'm tired of it. And
I definitely understand that opinion. Yep.
If it's, if I offend anybody, I don't care. There's a right way. There's a right way to have a conversation with something you don't agree with, and there's a wrong way, and there's a lot of wrong ways going around right now, and I'm tired of it. It's becoming trollish, and it's noise at this point, and I'm tired of the noise.
Well, I think that's something that people need to keep in mind. While I defend everyone's right to have whatever opinion they have, and I feel that no one should be sort of suffering personal attacks or whatever, I will point out that if you put out sort of a constant flow of content that is sort of super negative with regard to the game that you play and the company that that makes that game, you have to understand that, you're, as a content creator, your audience is your little garden. And if you prune it and weed it right and water it and take good care of it and foster it and put out good content, it will grow into, I think, a beautiful thing. I feel like the Loose Screws sort of community is a beautiful thing. If you put out some certain amount of toxicity or whatever, you're going to sort of encourage that to thrive. And you're going to get to a point where it's a feedback loop of negativity that feeds upon itself. And you may end up legitimately losing some portion of your audience that just doesn't want to be unhappy. They want to have fun and they want to be happy, and they don't want to keep coming back for content that makes them feel conflicted or unhappy. So, I mean, I'm not telling anybody how to do what they do. You do whatever you do, but yeah, there is a certain amount of creators out there where I'm not going to lie, I've kind of dialed back on a little bit of their coverage of stuff, because it's like, if I pop on the video or pop on the stream and in the first 5 minutes, I'm hearing 4 different things that bum me out. Man, there's too many things to do and not enough hours in the day. I'm going to just keep it moving. And that's my valid right too.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. We can keep spinning around on this, but I'm just gonna leave it alone with that, because I'm not going to. I'm just not gonna.
Yeah, I get it.
Just not gonna no more.
I get
it's frustrating. So
I get it.
Anyway.
All right, let's move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah. So Thai Spies. So last week I asked you guys. I want to see your paint jobs, because everybody's out right now exploring and everybody's paint gets messed up, and it's kind of a badge of honor when your paint gets messed up. So I wanted to see them. So going through them real quick, we had Jello Wiggler with his Evelyn paint job. That is, he made the comment, looks like it's a time for a Mako. And our time for Mako to step in. I think it looks freaking cool, all dusted up like that.
Right on. Chicks dig scars.
Yeah, that's right. We also had Smokey Samson, not busted up as some, but I'm going to fix her paint to actually slam it in the back of a station and die. You can tell his paint's kind of messed up. He got a pretty cool shot at being over a Farragut battle cruiser. Thought that was pretty cool.
Well, that's going to get bonus points from Ty.
It is, but man, the winner is going to have to be DJ Wiley. Right. And the reason why is because, number one, the picture of him in front of that nebula is super cool. Number two.
And what would number 2 be, I wonder?
Number 2 is that he landed that thing and it is busted up. Look at that thing. It looks so cool while beat up like that.
Yeah, man.
He says he got like a 30% busted up hole after that. Man, Jello Wiggler was like an easy win as far as like how cool that orange and yellow paint looks, all kind of beat up. And then the Farragut Battle Cruiser was like, oh man, but the Farragut Battle Cruiser got to go with my Fetties. But man, I'll tell you right now, his Wiley screenshot right now, that's my wallpaper right now. So
nice.
Of course,
that's legit.
I change my wallpaper about every 2 or 3 days. So.
But that's legit, though.
Yeah, it's legit. So this week, I'm asking to see your potato worlds. What's a potato world, you might ask? There's certain moons out there that are kind of flat on one side, and they kind of look like a potato or a tater, as we say here in Texas. So
I think
show me your taters.
Whoa, be careful there, buddy. Be real careful there when you say show me your taters to the internet. Look. I'm going to give an alternate explanation for what you're talking about. So let's say, show us your sort of non-spherical, your misshapen, lumpy worlds and whatnot. Anything that's sort of an oblong or a weird shape or whatever. That's what he's talking about when he's talking about taters. Did you see what I posted in that Thai spot? I know I wasn't going for this week's whatever, because I kind of be honest with you, I don't want to win Thai Spies, but I posted something that was sort of in reference to last week's that I found today specifically that I thought you would dig.
I'm looking.
That's a first discovery right there.
It's,
no. At 4:48 p.m. I posted I found I got first discovery on a system that had 2 black holes and a neutron star just chilling. It's a weird, they're rotating around each other situation.
Yeah. No, I scrolled up too far and found Rabbit again. So
no, that's not where I was going. This was a legitimate one.
Now, I do want to kind of point out one thing. So, Roy Cookson, last week or 2 weeks ago, I asked, I want to see your discovery you're most proud of. And it was kind of a late entry, but Roy Cookson has a picture of a neutron star with a gigantic ring in the system Kailoa LN AA-A H627.
Nice.
Yeah, so the whole system's anchored by a black hole and another neutron star. And when he discovered, and that's when he discovered the ringed neutron, he flew very close to his exclusion zone in order to map the ring for hotspots. So he had like this really cool little story he did there. He actually submitted this to EDSM to see if he could get officially named. I haven't heard if it has. So Roy, if you've had it named, please let us know, and we'll announce it here. But that was super cool. I did want to point that out. It's a couple weeks old now, but I guess he submitted this on April 17th, but the timing of things, we have to have a cutoff time. But yeah, it was very
honorary
cool,
mention because it's awesome.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. I also forgot about Teflon 12. He submitted his paint in his green asp, and man, the way the asp looks with his heat vents open against suns are really freaking cool. So anyway, that's going to be Ty Spies. Again, we want to see your potato worlds. Show me your taters. So I don't have a whole lot for discussion this week. The beta has officially ended for the fleet carriers, and I think the next beta begins May 2nd. Is that right?
No. They announced today, Frontier announced today that the snapshot will take place on April 30th. So that means that when you log out on April 29th, you definitely want to have your money ready or what have you, because that is when the snapshot will take place. There is no official announcement yet of the fact that the beta will start on May 11th/12th in that time period. That has not been officially announced, so you did not hear that from me, that the beta will be starting on May 11th, 12th. There's some playtime in there depending on when they start it, but within that, 36-hour period that sort of is overlapped in May 11th and 12th, that is not officially when the beta will start. Wink.
For some reason, I had in my head it was May 2nd, but clearly that's wrong. So, but I don't know why I was thinking May 2nd. But anyway, so yeah, get your money saved up before April 30th. You got about 7 days by the time that we're recording this. That way you can participate in the fleet carrier beta. I assume that they're going to our previous fleet carriers they're going to delete.
Always. Yeah, betas just are.
Yeah.
Betas are just complete Etch a Sketch restart.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. So, but yeah, I'll be interested in the changes, and I got a little spreadsheet from how things were spent before, so I can't wait to see how the money's spent this time, and I'm hoping it works out. Like doing the math right now, it works out exactly the way I want it. So we'll see how it works out long term. But this whole thing with fleet carriers has kind of got me thinking about the new era and the 2020 update, and I'm a big believer that a large portion of the events that we're seeing or all the large portion of the things that we're seeing in the fleet carriers are actually going to be translated into things that we see for the base building stuff that supposedly is coming with the new era. But my thing I wanted to ask you, Kai, is wouldn't it be crazy, because part of that leak is supposedly space legs, but wouldn't it be crazy if we didn't get space legs? So like if the leak is wrong and they did something totally different, what would it be? Like, what if? So I'm going to tell you kind of my thoughts, and I want to hear your thoughts. Okay. What if instead of a running around the base or running around your ship or anything, they let us continue to just fly in our little spaceships, sewed to the chairs, and we started manipulating bases and building bases, and we could actually build planets with, like, we got to where we could actually populate an entire planet with like little cities or maybe big cities, because we could kind of like maybe like Sim City style build our bases, you know? And that would be, that's the direction they're going. Because this is something we haven't really thought about. We've thought about it. We thought about it kind of like on a small scale. Like, here's my little base, and your base is a couple hundred kilometers away, and we're going to move SRVs between us or SRV trucks between us or something. We've had a bunch of different like little things, but we haven't really thought about, well, what if they're going more global, and they're going to kind of give us the ability. I don't want to say buy a moon, literally, but you can keep buying plots of land, and eventually you could have the whole moon.
That would be sort of way different than anything that sort of anybody is posited as a possibility thus far. I mean, for me, I can't help but go back to my original thought of like, well, let's for a second just play with the notion that it's not going to be base building and elite feat, or not going to be either of those two. If there's anything that could be different, I get that a lot of people want elite feat. I get that a lot of people want base building. I would gladly throw either or both away if we could have atmospheric landings. And then, like, for me personally, and this is just a matter of personal taste, this is not right or wrong, I would rather have the expansion that gives atmospheric landing first, and then later get elite feat and base building. But I think there are many clear indicators with the fleet carrier project in and of itself that base building is coming, with the the player market and the ability to, like, the fact that basically carriers are moving buildings, they are moving bases, they're just mobile bases. Storage. There's a lot of things that they're working on here that I think tie directly into base building and that whole mechanic, and different ways that I really just love the idea of having a base that has, mining and whatever, like mineral and whatever resource gathering, and plunked down next to a base that has a big manufacturing facility, plunked down in a system that has a station, a fleet carrier there. And then between those three or multiples of, like, you might have 4 or 5 resource gathering bases and 2 or 3 production bases and 2 carriers. I love the idea of creating a self-sustaining, player-controlled ecosystem that, a la Eve. And people say, well, like, oh, I don't want Eve. If I wanted Eve, I'd be playing Eve. Yeah, no, this isn't Eve. You still have awesome spaceships that you get to fly in a very cool fucking way. But, like, Eve has good stuff to it, too. Like, the player controls and sort of making your own little civilization and making your own economy. That stuff is awesome. I just got bored of flying spreadsheets. But this game isn't that. This game is an awesome flight sim that could also take, like, oh, you do this, this, and this well. I'm going to take that, and that's mine now. And I'm going to keep this other stuff that you don't have because I am more awesome than you. Like, I dig that. I can't help but notice, even though, everyone said, like, well, the leaks and this, that, and the other one, everyone knows it's going to be elite feat and base building, elite feat and base building. I saw a lot of things in fleet carriers as a project that say, oh, for sure, base building is coming. Right. I did not see anything in fleet carriers per se that directly say elite fleet feat is coming. Now, you could make the argument, like, Well, duh, obviously, when Elite Feet comes, they're going to add on a bridge. They're going to add on this. They're going to add on that. And it's going to be awesome. Okay, maybe. But we already see in Fleet Carriers as a project several things that directly indicate a tie into base building. So if, like, I think it's going to be Elite Feet and base building, but if you're sort of pie in the sky, what if, and I don't even think, you're not suggesting that you think this is going to happen. You're just having a nice little mental experiment of what if.
Right.
If you had to bet, I would bet, because I mean, you're a smart guy. If you had to bet, you would bet that it's going to be Elite Feet and base building because that's all the indicators. But
It's a safe bet.
You're doing a nice little cool hypothetical. And let me tell you something. If in this nice little hypothetical, in this wish list, we could get atmospheric landings and base building instead of Elite Feet and base building, and still get Elite Feet, in a year or two, whatever, like get around to it, whatever. But if I could get atmospheric landings first, I don't even care what comes after, because it's like, I'm already so happy. That would be awesome. As far as owning a moon, I think you're a little wacky on that one, my friend. I think it's awesome. It's a cool idea, but I don't think so. I think what you're going to end up with is discrete sort of, a kilometer or 2 kilometers area. And that doesn't come close to covering, 1/1000th or millionth of a planet or a moon or whatever. But it could be cool to see, if the Hull Seals or the Hutton Truckers or the somebodies, if you had some group, if Loose Screws, just becomes like some massive player squadron, and we have like hundreds and hundreds of people that, were to say like, hey, we're going to build, this is our home world, and we claim it. And we're, this moon or this whatever, this is where we're going to put, it would be neat to see like, oh, holy shit, look at that. There's 200 bases there, little housing, little whatever. That could be a cool thing to see. Mm-hmm. But I don't see it getting to the point where they're like, okay, Kaizen, you've plunked down enough money. You own that moon. I don't see it. I think it'll be interesting to see when base building comes in December, which I absolutely believe that it's going to come. If I had to put my money, they're testing storage now, expecting people to break it, expecting people to come up with dupe exploits, expecting people to come up with problems where shit disappears or whatever. And if you're going to do it, it's really smart to test it out on a super expensive thing that only a few thousand people could afford up front, so that you can watch that like a hawk. And when you see the people that are duping, as you've had duping scandals in EVE, you've had duping scandals in World of Warcraft, you've had all kinds of where people figure out some way where it's like, they get these programs or whatever, and they're like, I set it up with the program, so as soon as I hit the trade to like deposit something into my storage locker or cargo or whatever you call it in that particular game, my guild bank, whatever, then, exactly, 0.86 milliseconds later, my router is auto pulled or my connection is pulled. And now somehow like it shows that I have that gold in the guild bank and that gold on me. I've now duped it. I've now created 2 copies of that. And I think if you're going to be smart and you're going to be responsible, put it in where you can just have like a bunch of server guys watching like a hawk, 2,000 people with fleet carriers, and really, really making sure that it's like, okay, hey, wow, look, this guy, hey, Bob, I got this guy right here. He seems to have figured out a way to generate, 60,000 low temperature diamonds in the last 8 minutes. That might be an issue. Yeah. So I see them testing all this, and the reason why I see them testing it is to get it right. And the reason to get it right is because I think in December, when they have base building, you're going to have, hey, when you buy it, when you pay your 40 quid and you get, or your 40 bucks or your 3 goats and a small duck, when you pay whatever currency your particular sovereignty has and you get your copy of the game, I think they're going to give you a free base. It's not going to be a big one. It's not going to have an upkeep. There are going to be big bases that have upkeep that are going to be like massive production facilities. But I think every person for free with your code, with your download code of like, okay, I bought this Frontier. I'm going to register it now. I think you're going to get a little house that you can put on a moon somewhere. And that house is going to be just a vanity item. It's going to have very limited functionality, but one of those functionalities will be every last person for free at no upkeep costs and no whatever, just right off the bat is going to get like, oh, here's 200 tons of storage to place on a moon somewhere. Now you have like a little freedom to, chuck your stuff where you need to go if you want to, do a quick swap and go do some of. Hey man, I was in the middle of unlocking this engineer and I've got all this goddamn bromolite on me, but now my buddies want to go race stuff. I want to get into a good race ship. I can't be in this Type 9. You can go plop down on your little moon base, go into your little moon house, say hi to your little moon wife and pet the moon kids and the moon dog and, whatever, and drop off your bromolite.
Kids.
What's that?
You said pet the moon kids.
Yeah, whatever. Like pat them on the head. No, hey, Johnny, daddy's going to go off and do some moon racing, whatever. And like, you can fuck off and do your stuff. Everyone's going to have their own little storage. I think also everyone is going to have like, again, people are like, well, fleet carriers, it's dumb that they just put player markets on the fleet carriers. What about everybody else? Don't they want to use it? Yeah, duh. Yeah. You test it for 6 months here, make sure that all the exploits and whatever you catch because you're watching it like a hawk because only, 1% of the population can afford it. And then 6 months later, after you've worked out all the kinks and the bugs and the way that people exploit it and whatever, then you put it in every player station in the game that it's just like, hey, yeah, anyone, anywhere can generate a contract to buy or sell anything. And you pay some small tax or you pay this is a 50 credit fee if you want to generate a contract or whatever. Like, I think this is all being done. People are seeing something and going, this doesn't give me all the functionality I want, therefore I hate it. And it's like, just think things through, stop playing checkers and start playing chess. Think what's the next move? What's not just what's right in front of you, but what's 2 or 3 moves down the line? Because when a game sort of is in the transition that I believe that Elite Dangerous is, where if you look at all the people they're hiring are people with MMO experience. The people that have said, well, Elite is not an MMO and it never could be. You can't even store anything and you can't even trade anything. Oh, except for you can now.
Exactly.
Like, look at the way this is going and apply a little common sense and everybody take a Midol and just relax a little bit. And I think what you're seeing here is a game that Elite has always been sort of straddling the fence. It's not an MMO. It's not a single player game. It can't commit to either. I think we've just seen a declaration that they're committing, and it's going to go in the direction of more player engagement, more MMO-like sort of, mechanics and interactions and content. And I think that means we're also going to see them going back and fixing some long neglected systems because it's an embarrassment to say we're focusing on being an MMO and you can't multi-crew with SRVs. You can't multi-crew with Wing. You can't do this with that. You can't do that with this. You can't queue up for, CQC when you're out in the galaxy. And it's like, oh, what are they doing? They're starting to get to this stuff. In the patch that we had in January, we saw them fix an aspect of multi-crew or not multi-crew, wing mining had always been borked, winged core mining. And now it works. Winged and multi-crew Thargoid, anti-Xeno combat. They took a big swing at it. They tried, and then they failed. And then they went back and tried another thing, and then they failed. And they tried another thing, and then they failed. Okay. But you cannot, is it fixed now? No. But you cannot deny the fact that they are fixing it. They are trying at it. I will bet anything. All right. And I am willing right now to take your bet. Whatever you want to bet, I'll agree to it. I bet sight unseen that this June fleet carrier launch, that bug patch that's going to go with it is going to include some thing for the Thargoid heart and for attempting to fix the AXI interactions. I'm not saying that I'm betting they're going to be successful. I'm saying they're not giving up on it. They're going to keep trying until they get it. And I think that we're going to see it in June.
I agree. I really do. I think you're 100% right. I think that, you kind of piggyback on your thoughts here. Man, I feel like this fleet carrier beta has kind of showed Frontier's hand, and
100%.
I think that they're like, I am not the biggest fan of walking around and space legs. I'm not a biggest fan of that idea, but the idea of being able to land on atmospheric worlds and whatnot, that's wonderful sounding to me. But
that to me is like, oh, that's what I don't think I honestly don't think we're getting it in December. I think we're going to get it a year or two down the line, but that's what I'm holding my breath. Like, that's what I want. That will be that I will be so happy at that point.
And don't get me wrong. I'm right there with you. I think it's still coming. I think it's going to be a little further out than what we are. I think that, if you look at the fact that they updated some of the net code and they updated the networking stuff, they've had David Braben been quoted talking about changes to
the exact quote from the investment dinner is a significant refresh of the underlying code base. That's word for word, and it's
the code base
burned into my brain.
Yeah. I think, no, don't get me wrong, they're not changing engines. They're still staying on the Cobra engine. But they're basically saying the Cobra engine is not up to par for what we need it to do. So we're going to change the code base to make it what we need it to do. And if you go look at Planet Zoo and you go look at Jurassic World Evolution, that already runs on a modified Cobra engine, there's a lot of stuff that is already there, ready to go. It just needs a spaceship, and from the way that you manage your parks, the kind of come and goings of people, it's not a stretch. Then you factor in the whole the way that they're going to do the fact that the way that they were looking for someone to program AI for ground-based vehicles, specifically for Elite Dangerous. Well, there's only one reason to do that. Is that if you're going to include SRVs. And I was looking through the ED RPG book last night, and I got over to the section of ground vehicles, and there are so many ground vehicles.
Yep.
That, I'm looking through this book and I'm like, these are such great ideas. Why don't we have any of these? We had none of them. Did you know that there's like 6 different types of skimmers that this book just makes mention of? I think we have 2 in the game, like a 4-blade and a 2-blade, if I'm not mistaken. Like there's a Goliath skimmer and then like a little, like your more common skimmer.
There's the little one and then there's the big mama jamma.
I can't remember the little one's called, but I think the big one's called the Goliath. Well, there's one that basically has like 6 blades on it that can float higher. It can actually go into low orbit to chase ships off a base. It can actually seat one person if needed. There's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, man.
It's so cool, man. When I think about, I kind of mentioned like a whole SimCity kind of thing. Maybe that's not too far from the truth. Maybe we will get our own little Elite Dangerous Planet Zoo kind of crossover thing. To also kind of think about it here, and they do a little bit of it, but not a whole lot. But other game developers, when they have multiple franchises, they do little crossovers. They'll put like little nods to their other games in their, like a perfect example is they put like little Diablo references in World of Warcraft, and they put little World of Warcraft references in Diablo. And there's all kinds of little crossovers like that. And Frontier doesn't do anything like that. Another example is like Call of Duty. Like they have little references to the other Call of Duty games and their little expansion packs. And
Final Fantasy XIV has had crossover events with both Nier Automata and also Final Fantasy XI, and even other games that they own. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I remember when Final Fantasy 15 came out, which is a great game, by the way. If you haven't played it, I strongly encourage everybody to. But Final Fantasy 15 came out, and I remember Final Fantasy 14 did a great big, like you could get, I can't think of the main character's name, but you could actually get his clothes and the car. Yeah.
Yep. The car was a big deal because it was a 4-player mount, which is a thing that people didn't have. It had never existed in the game up until that point. So everybody was super excited for it.
Yeah. And but aside from bobbleheads, Frontier doesn't do any crossovers, and it would be kind of cool to have like your own little mini Planet Zoo or your mini Jurassic World planet, and also in the EDRPG book, there's dinosaurs in that book that they talk about that are on other planets. Yeah, they don't look quite like our dinosaurs, but they look similar.
They're large dinosaur looking things. Yeah. I mean, literally David Braben back famously in the Kickstarter days, at one of the fan sort of engagement interviews had made a
Big
thing
Game
about
Hunter,
talking about, he basically had talked about, flying around in a Cobra and from your ship going into an atmospheric planet and sort of shooting down and like hunting like some T-Rex analog on a distant world in the far end of the galaxy. Yeah, man, that all that stuff is super, super awesome. I would love to see even little things. I would love to see, dinosaur or a little, like, I would love to see a very cool little, like you could buy a couple of pieces of track and then have a neat looking little roller coaster bobblehead set, or like there's little, I mean, is that important? No, it's silly stuff, but it's silly stuff is cool sometimes. I think another thing, I just kind of went on my mini rant talking about like why, like sort of justifying my thought of why Frontier has decided to double down on the MMO-ness of this game and that they're moving in that direction. And I feel like it's a good move. Another thing that I think that will lead to that is not frivolous and small and insignificant, but is in fact rather huge. And I feel that you're going to kind of know if I'm right in my guess, in my supposition of all of this is, I think you're going to start seeing mentions before December, before the New Era update, and you're going to see a significant balance pass in the New Era update. But I think, come Gamescom, if the world is not over and Gamescom is still a thing at that point, I think you're going to see them starting to openly talk about the fact that one of their goals in the New Era is going to be to do a balance pass and to address the fact that right now there is one optimized way to gain credits. I think in the New Era, you're going to see a significant addressing of the fact that combat needs to come up. Exploration needs to come up a little. Trucking needs to come up a little. Combat needs to come up a lot. AX combat sort of needs to come up a lot and then not as much. There's a weird balance there where it needs to come up a lot on the sort of more casual side. The guys that are doing, when AX is actually going, when the AX conflict zones are going and people are doing the sort of wing, not slaughter, what is it called? The wing, you know what I'm talking about. Those slaughter or whatever missions, when they're doing those in wings.
Oh, assassination. Yeah.
You can make like legitimate coin from that. But in my opinion, AX combat really should be the single highest paying way to approach the game. Like there should be a balance overall, but AX Combat, it's like everything is equal, but AX Combat needs to be just a little more equal than others because it is by far, and I'm not talking about just killing Thargoid scouts, I'm talking about real AX Combat. It is by far the single most challenging activity that you can do in this game.
Agreed.
And to me, it seems only fair that the hardest thing to do that requires the most money in upkeep from you and the most you are risking your shit when you go out there and take on, you know, hydras and you know, basilisk and whatnot. Like that increased risk should be met with an increased reward. But combat in general needs a buff. And I'm not saying that mining needs to be lowered, but I'm saying that there needs to be a balanced pass on, if you look at and say, okay, I want to do combat, I want to do mining, I want to do trucking, I want to do passengers. I'm not saying that everything has to be exactly equal or otherwise it's the end of the world, but it's a little out of whack, and it's out of whack in what I believe is the wrong way. So I think if I'm right, and if what they're doing with, you know, all of these changes is moving in that more like they're going to commit that we're going to make an MMO, and we're still going to have the single player sort of solo mode option, but we're going to design and cater to and spend a lot of our effort on trying to build an actual good MMO experience. I think you're going to see in December, you're going to see a balance pass on all that. And I think you're not even going to have to wait till then. You're going to start hearing about it before then. They're going to start openly talking about it. Now, maybe I'm dead wrong. That's a possibility, but that's what I think.
You know, we've been talking a lot about Gamescom for several weeks now. We both of us kind of agreed that, and I think Trax agreed too, and I think even Dravenus agreed that Gamescom was where they were going to announce the New Era event. Or the New Era, like, yeah, was. Gamescom 2020 is officially canceled. They are still doing some online stuff, or they're still planning some online stuff, but it has officially been canceled because of COVID-19. So, yay. It really stinks. I still think we will get I think it was scheduled for August 19th, I believe. I still think that we will get an announcement from Frontier during the month of August I think that we will get a release video that kind of gives some details as to what all of the New Era will contain, because if they're sticking with their December release date, which all signs point to they are, then they're going to want about 4 to 6 months worth of pre-order time to be able to drum up some interest and whatnot. And when they did the Horizons update, they announced it at Gamescom, so they gave them 4 months of prep time. And I think that they will repeat that. I think that we'll still see something in August.
I don't know, man. If anything, I agree with you that they absolutely were going to do the big stuff then. If anything, we might now see them change their strategy to release some stuff to coincide with LaveCon. I mean, I don't think we're going to see LaveCon as a physical event occur, but I think we're going to, just how we had VECM, I think we're going to have, V LaveCon. And to me, while I would have thought they would have made some little announcement or some little teaser during LaveCon, I definitely agreed that they were going to wait for the big hype event of Gamescom. But now that Gamescom is not going to happen, it's not going to be accessible. If I was Frontier's marketing department, I would push back a little bit or push up a little bit some of their teasers and some of their release stuff, just because without the big splash of the Gamescom event, there's no reason to not give yourself a little more lead time so that you hope that it's like, well, people aren't going to see this because of Gamescom. But if we sort of announce stuff maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks earlier, it's a greater chance that content creators are going to create stuff about it. It's a greater chance. I think we might also see them sort of reach out to some content creators and try to do some special things that sort of hype. You know, we've seen more community engagement out of the entire CM team in the last month than I think we have sort of seen before. And I think it would behoove them. It would be only smart of them to sort of release a little more information a little earlier than they would have, because there is no big physical event that is Gamescom. So you're going to be more dependent on community created hype that you're going to have to nurture along the way, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. And, you know, I just kind of tell you right now, and talking with my peers from other agencies and other companies in the IT field, some of the stuff that we're kind of being told right now is, so leading up until this year, everybody's been going, hey, let's, you know, offload this as a SaaS. Let's go ahead and let's, offload this to the cloud. Let's get this in the cloud. There was a whole great big migration of moving things to the cloud to have everything off site. And that way you relied more heavily on your, infrastructure and your connection to the internet, your ISP. Well, after this virus stuff, there's now more of a move to keep things internal, keep things on site. That way, your bandwidth can better be utilized for conferencing, Zoom chatting, and whatnot. Because, I don't know if you know this, but like my industry, just in this last month, we have literally transitioned everything to remote. Like the only people that really need to be there are the people that arrest people, the people that keep people in jail, and the people that keep the internet or the whole thing running. And that's it. No one else really needs to be there. And I think that's really cool. But at the same time, it's a lot more work on our end. So it's a lot more, that's one of the reasons why I've been so away with everything. But, that's starting to kind of wind down. They're starting to ease off on us a little bit. They're transitioning some things around. But, we had several projects that were lined up to offload some software and offload some things to the cloud-based. And those things have been canceled because they want to keep it local. Because keeping it local makes it to where we can then utilize our limited bandwidth, because we're kind of in podunk parts of Texas, for video conferencing, which is kind of crazy to think about. That's what we're doing now. We're utilizing that bandwidth for that instead of utilizing it for the thing. Because at any given moment, we're running about 10 large video conferences. So I tell you all this because I think that this applies to how companies are going to work in the future. And I think that's kind of what we're already seeing. I don't know if you've noticed this, but Amazon has canceled all physical pre-orders of games. And I think that's because of the whole COVID-19 thing. I think that we could be looking at the last round of physical games that were released. I mean, digital games will still release. Don't misunderstand me. We're not talking about apocalypse stuff here. But I think that we could be looking at the last round of physicals, like in the next year or so. Like, I don't think that we'll see any more physical games come out. And that's kind of interesting to think about as we transition from all this. And I bring all this up because it will tie into Frontier, because their last quote unquote live stream they recorded right before they all left the office to go home. And we know they're still working. We know they're still working. We know they're working from home. I think as companies see, well, I can still get things accomplished. I don't need 14 floors downtown. I only need 2 floors downtown. And the rest of the people can be at home. So I think that what we're going to see out of this Frontier, the way that they announce things, I think that them having people at home is going to make it to where they have a more communicative community management team, because they've already been very communicative with us. And, we're fairly new in the community, or at least in the content creator community, so to speak. So that's really cool that they're communicating with us. I don't know if they're communicating with other content creators. I think that they are. I'm being told by some that they are, but I don't know to what. I know they're communicating with me. I know they're communicating with you. And that's very cool.
They're definitely communicating with a lot of people across the community. And I mean, all that stuff you were just talking about there, all that, changing the IT infrastructure stuff, and, the end of physical games, and companies are going to do, like, that's a bunch of stuff I don't know anything about. So I'm just like, all right, cool. Like, if you say so, for me, with all that stuff, it's like, well, we'll see if we see. I don't get into all that, but like, I deal with what I know. With regard to your assertions on, like, the community management team has sort of, been very engaging. I've seen them engaging with Burr. I've seen them engaging with Down to Earth. I've seen them engaging with Exegius. I've seen them engaging with, with us, with Plater, with Ascorbius, with, everybody. They've been out there. They've been on Lave Radio multiple times. They've been doing stuff with the Hutton Truckers. They have been out and about. And if you are willing and are engaging, they are engaging back. So anyone who is not sort of felt the love, it's not because they're not offering it. It's because you're not taking them up on the offer. And that's a valid way to go too. Like, if you're like, yeah, I don't want to do that, I don't want to whatever, okay, that's a choice that you make. I think they're definitely engaging a lot. As far as once this stuff is quote unquote, I don't know, man. That we're living in a upside down world. I don't know what constitutes over with this. I mean, I've been hearing, and let's not turn this into a COVID-19 show, but I just really have no clue. I have no clue. Like, does this stuff end in 2 weeks? Does this stuff end in 2 years? Like, I don't know, man. So, like, all this stuff that you're talking about, how things are changing, like, maybe I just do my job and I don't pay attention to all that sort of bigger world stuff. But
so, I mean, the reason why I was bringing all that up is because I kind of feel like with the majority of Frontier's developers and employees at home, clearly they're still working. I'm kind of curious, with their community being like, when you're at home, you're more comfortable. I'm kind of wondering if that's like going to lead to them being able to release more stuff faster because of this whole work from home thing. Like, you're going to be more comfortable at home. You're going to be more relaxed. You're not going to have this commute time. You're not going to have all this, there's a lot more like kind of where I was driving with this. Like, well, maybe there's something there as to being more productive as a game development company.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I got all that stuff. That's above my pay grade. I don't know how any of that stuff works. So yeah, maybe. I don't know.
FYI, I just learned what like just about a year ago, I learned exactly what above my pay grade really means. Mm-hmm. And that is like one of the coolest fucking sayings there ever was.
I mean, it's standard military life. You just learn with, like, you got to worry about your piece of the pie. Like, if it's a thing of, like, I've had it before where, you go out someplace, with a girl or whatever, and you order something and you get all kinds of jalapeno and hot sauce or whatever, and they look at your plate and they're like, "How can you say?" And it's like, "Hey, this is on my plate. I'm focusing on my plate. You focus on your plate. whatever. And that's in the military, you definitely have to have that mentality of like, don't try to figure it all out. It's just going to hurt your brain. Do what you're told, deal with what is in your pay grade, and let someone else deal with the other stuff.
And I always kind of knew what it meant, like what the meaning of it was, but I didn't really know like the whole, like I want to say the whole history, but like the whole background as to where exactly it come from and how the military literally has ratings for every little thing. And like I didn't know about all that. It's just news to me. One of the guys I work with explained it to me. I was like, oh, that's really amazing. That's really cool. I did not know all that. It makes a whole lot more sense. It opens my eyes to things. And
do you know where the whole 9 yards come from?
I do not know.
Back in the day, the old school, like World War II fighter pilots, you would get 9 yards of ammunition, like your gun. You had 9 yards of chain ammunition. And once you fired the whole 9 yards, you were done. You had nothing left to give.
I'll be damned. That's interesting. Well, something we did not talk about because I was dumb and left it off my notes was Kai's question. And we were going to ask... you asked. It's your Kai. You asked the question, man.
All right. So this week's Kai's question, I've heard basically, it's funny. I put out a tweet today saying this, like, I hear two things from the entire community constantly about the fleet carrier issue. And the first thing I hear is fleet carriers, they're dumb. Nobody's got any use for them. They'll never work. They're not good for anything. And the other thing I hear from people constantly is like, I'm using my fleet carrier like this. And it occurs to me that there's something different between Group A and Group B that should be examined there. Just a thought. But the Hull Seals they officially named their, I think it's either 3 or 4, I forget. They officially named announced the names for their beginning fleet of fleet carriers. I know the Rats are going at them. I know AXI is going to have a couple. The biggest thing that is just everybody's darling right now, and quite rightly so because it's brilliant and amazing and deserving of love, is the DSSA. That whole project is amazing. Burr put out a supplemental coverage on the DSSA just this week that should really, really you should go find that video and check it out because it's an awesome video that covers an awesome group that is doing an awesome thing. So big hats off to FleetCom. I know there's ballers that are like, I'm going to be a baller trader. I'm going to go do this thing with it, this very specific thing. I'm going to be a crazy miner. I'm going to just go out on my own and explore now that it's got universal cartographics. It's so many things. So the question is, and this is just, you could list anything. This is not an exclusive thing. You can copy someone else's if they posted it. Just anyone write in, what do you want to do with your fleet carrier? Or if you're not going to own a fleet carrier, what do you want to do with other people's fleet carriers? What use do you have for it? Whether you're a buckyball racer or you're like, I'm going to craft this awesome custom race course because now we can put stations wherever the hell we want. And I'm going to do this, this, and this. Or whether you're someone who says, I'm never going to own a fleet carrier. I do not want to own a fleet carrier. That is a hassle. But I'm going to go out and use the DSSA as an explorer, and I'm going to go fly all around the galaxy knowing that so long as I got my handy dandy roadmap, I know where I can stop in for pit stops everywhere I go. Like, that is not an inconsiderable argument. That is not a small use case. There are a lot of people, like I can tell you from personal experience, it is way more fun to be the friend of a guy who owns a fishing boat than it is to be the guy that has to maintain that fucking fishing boat.
Ain't that the damn truth?
So you might be like, oh, I'm never buying a carrier, but I'm rich as hell. And my buddy, he bought the carrier and we're going to go out and do this, that, and the other. And it's going to be awesome. And he's got all the bills. Like, hey, cool, right in. But just everybody, right in. What, and for bonus points, Give me something no one said before. Give me something unique. Give me something that's going to make everybody go like, oh, that's cool as shit, bro. You could do that. Yeah, you can. Like, I don't, just anything new, anything different. I want to see a list of as many uses for fleet carriers, because I've heard some people make the question like, what's the use for this? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, there's uses for it. Lots of people have them. You're going to be able to read the list. And if not, I'll read it to you next week.
Right.
That's Kai's question.
Well, last thing I want to say is go to Ross 310 and join the war. It's fun, and that's all I will say to that. That's actually what I'm going to go do right now. I'm going to go shoot some progressives.
Okay.
Should the NSA be listening, and I know you are, I don't literally mean shoot progressives. I mean shoot people in this party progressives.
He's actually going after Flo, the progressive insurance lady. Go stop him. Get him. Yeah. Just as a heads up. So a couple things. Number one.
Yeah.
For all the people that are engaging in this war in Ross 310, and you're doing the wing assassination missions, the wing slaughter, the wing whatever missions, be very, very careful, because there's a weird little glitch that sometimes you can accept the mission for our party, and then when you go to turn it in, it'll go and say like, oh, this one's for the other guys. It's a glitch. It's a known thing. So just be careful. And if it is for the other guys, like, please don't just wait a couple days to turn it in, and then turn it in. Because you get like, I think like 4 days on those. If you hold it and turn it in 3 more days, we'll already have won by then, and then you'll be good.
Yeah.
But just read it when you actually turn it in and see who's getting the credit for it, because it's a known thing, and sometimes people are like, wait, what the hell? I just bumped up the other guys by a ton by turning in 5 wing missions, and somehow they glitched and they went for the other guys. So that's a thing. Number 2, the Drew Wagar Lore Tour is continuing. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I've been checking it every week, and there was one just today that I haven't got a chance to hear yet because we were getting ready for this and all. But that is awesome. After this, you will get that whole Elite Week interview with 100 Point Rub. And I really, really encourage everyone to not only listen to that thing, but go check out the YouTube for it and click on the links, because I posted right there. I posted the Discord link for the AXI. I posted the link for their questionnaire thing that they're doing, like a census, a poll. I posted a link to my fleet carrier forum post and his fleet carrier forum post, so that I would encourage people to read them sort of both and kind of have an idea of where we're coming from, so that you sort of get to see both viewpoints on the discussion, and then see how the discussion plays out, and where we find common ground and where we agree to disagree. Before this show, obviously, it was awesome doing the interview with Souverine. I'm not gonna lie, that Cosmonaut magazine is so good. Like, just reading through the first issue of it, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna buy this game. I'm gonna buy Star Citizen, and just like the whole, like, they're electing the Imperator, like the Emperor person, the highest ranking human. They're electing them this year. Like, they're doing all kinds of. It's like, okay, I'm in. I'm not in for like a $10,000 ship, but I'm in for a $40 pop. Like, I'm in. Let's see what's what.
Yeah, I think that's what I paid for mine. So
yeah, man. Right now, as we speak, Humble Bundle has an Elite Dangerous sale on, so you can go check out that Humble Bundle and get it for super cheap. Last weekend, I want to thank very much, just again, I want to thank Plater. I want to thank the Burr Pit. I want to thank Down to Earth Astronomy. I want to thank Alec Turner and the Buckyball Racers, who, Alec Turner represents them. And I want to thank Wotherspoon for Galnet News Digest. It was an amazing, awesome time doing that roundtable, and everybody seemed to like it. So we're definitely looking to do it again in May for the beta, and hopefully again as the June launch of the Fleet Carrier project, and also then covering the actual things that are in the bug fix wave, and then again coming up not too distantly as we approach the new era and we have new juicy things to talk about there. That'll be awesome. And everyone, look forward to this weekend, our interview with Bruce, the generator of the Brucey bonus. So we're going to talk to him about that and much, much more. So stay tuned. And I'm out. I'm done. I got nothing. This last couple of weeks has just been an awesome sort of weird roller coaster, and I feel just spent. I want to go and fly around and put my name on some more black holes.
Oh man, I got jokes, but I'm gonna leave it alone.
Don't go there. You be good.
Nope. Be good. Anyway, yeah, I had a really great time doing the low sodium moderation thing. That was really cool. Big thanks to everybody who joined us on that. I think that is going to do it for me and do it for us this evening. Kind of a shorter episode this evening because Loose Screws is sandwiched in between Kaizen and Sovereign with the Cosmonaut announcement and the interview with it, and Elite Week, which by all accounts is super freaking cool, and Kai's conversation with 100 Point Rub. So after this, stay tuned for that, but I think that's going to do it for the Screw Crew, guys. Hi, I'm Ty Worsham. You can reach me at Tyrvol, TYRVOL, on the Twitter. I'm not on there a whole lot, but if you want to, you can. You can always email the show at loosescrewsquestions@gmail.com. loosescrewsed.com is the website. By the way, we have baby onesies that we do. We really do. I got that set up now. I'm trying to get one ordered and in so I can send it to...
Do you have something you want to... Oh, I was going to say, do you have something you want to tell us about, Ty?
No. It's like T-shirts and stuff. I was able to, because McPherson had a baby.
Oh, yeah. All right, wait. Are you McPherson? Are you talking about Patches McFluffy?
Patches McFluffy. Oh, crap.
I was like,
Brain
holy
fart.
shit,
Brain
McPherson.
fart.
Yo, McPherson's wife, if you're listening, I swear to God, he didn't, nope, nothing happened.
It was McFluffy. It was. There's too many Mick names. That's the problem.
I'm
Irish.
Whoa.
I'm Irish too. So.
Whoa. Hey, settle down now. Whoa.
Anyway, but yeah, he gave me the idea to set up a onesie. So I got to set up a little baby onesie. I'm trying to get one ordered, but thanks to stupid COVID-19, it is being a pain in the ass. And by the time I get it, the kid will be 4 times larger anyway. So, because they grow up really fast. So anyway, that's going to do it. I'm running the show.
So if you want to find me, you can find me at Kai19103 on Twitter. You can definitely find me on the best way to talk, if you want to talk, is get on Discord. It's tinyurl.com/loose screws podcast. No spaces, just all stuck together. If you want to find Elite Week on YouTube, it's tinyurl.com/Elite Week 3306. And it's Elite Week 3306 at gmail.com if you want to write in. Ty, we definitely also need to put an exact, put the exact names of the PlayStation and Xbox commanders on the Loose Screws ED website so that people that are pulling it up can get the exact spelling so that they know who to message to get in on the squadron and get in on the fun.
Yep, I'm actually going to be doing some things with Discord this weekend to get the squadron ranks, not squadron ranks, but to get NL Hate and Devo Looter make sure that they are easily reachable there. I got to do some stuff there so they can be reached on there. And I will be updating the website this weekend and mowing 2 yards and working on a day on Saturday. So it's going to be a very, and I got to fight an award too. So at some point, I'm actually going to play a video game. So,
and I'm going to be spending all weekend doing my best impersonation of Robert De Niro. Once it hits you, that is hilarious, but it's going to take a moment.
Shit. All right, I'm done. Stay tuned for a late week, guys. We'll catch you guys next time.